Listen, if it's one thing that I'm pretty sure we're all aware of, is that life is out here moving fast, okay? It's a lot going on. We got society telling us what we should be doing, we should be, all while we're still trying to figure ourselves out. But you know what we can do? We can be mindful of where we are in this present moment and take small steps towards becoming better by the day and towards reaching our God-given purpose. So let's figure it out and work through it together. Welcome to Mindful Moments, y'all. A space where we talk it out, laugh it out, cry it out, hash it out. Listen, just get it all out, okay? This is a safe space for you, where we talk about the ups, the downs, even the in-betweens. A place where we go through it so we can grow through it. Tune in every week as we fill our minds with who we're destined to be, with positivity, with awareness, and honestly, just with love. So I encourage you, let's be mindful of today in hopes for, yes, a better you, but also in hopes for a better tomorrow. Again, welcome to Mindful Moments. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mindful Moments. I am your host, Jada Lowe, and today I've got a special guest with me. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Doing great. You guys, introduce yourself. An amazing person.
Well, kings and queens, what's going on? Of course, it is your girl, Kayla, also known as what? Your favorite life coach. Yep, you guessed it correct.
Sure.
It's me.
Cousin, family, friend,
all the above.
confidant, and if it's one thing we're gonna do, we're gonna cackle.
We gonna cackle. We gonna have us a good laugh, okay?
For sure. So, Kayla, you know I rarely call you by your government name.
I get that a lot though. A lot of people don't call me Kayla.
I don't know if it's because it's like second person or because we're face to face and I just don't say your name. But that's neither here nor there. Question for you.
Yes.
How have you been mindful today? What's something that you've been mindful of lately?
Something that I have been mindful of lately is the artist say it as in put that girl first. I've been putting that girl first, and that girl being me. So I've been mindful of myself. That's what I've been mindful of. It's hard out here to be mindful of yourself, especially like when you are a giver and you like to give. Sometimes it's hard to receive and actually do for yourself, but I've been trying to be mindful of that.
Yeah, and giving everything that you give to other people to you.
Exactly.
That's the only way you can give it out to other people.
That part.
So, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Why don't you show the people your phone?
My phone?
The back of your phone.
We really want to do that right now?
Yep, show the camera back your phone.
So, this is my
As
phone.
you can see, it's 13 Pro Max.
I don't know which one this is.
I think it's 13.
It might be.
Kayla is holding in her hand an iPhone 13 Pro Max, and once again, she doesn't have a case on it. And you know, a lot of people that I know tend to do this thing where they, including Devin, who's behind the camera.
Shout out.
Let me see the back of your phone. Don't have a case on it. And me, I've got a case on mine, but wait. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
But wait, there's more.
Better wait. Oh my God.
Mine has cracks. So with that being said, I want us to dive into being exposed and unprotected.
Ooh.
And what made me think of that was I always get onto people, specifically the two of y'all, about not having a case on your iPhone because of the dangers that are posed when you have your phone exposed, front and back, and unprotected. So what would you consider to be some of the dangers of being exposed and unprotected?
So I think with that, when I think about the word exposed, and unprotected. So when something is exposed, it's just out here.
Fact.
No covering, which leads to the unprotected. And when you're unprotected, that means you have nothing to shield you from danger or harm. And a lot of times, not just with our phones, but like in general, a lot of people don't have a protection or covering, because when we think about a phone case, what does a phone case do? It covers. So being out there, being exposed, is really being out there in the limelight or just visual for everyone to see. And then that unprotected piece is not having a covering or anything to protect.
You're looking at my notes. The definition I had for exposed, according to Google, exposed means not covered or hidden, semicolon, visible.
Okay.
And unprotected was not protected or kept safe, or not being kept safe from harm and injury. And thinking about just general exposure and being unprotected, I hear more vulnerability. So when you're under attack, you have essentially no defense mechanism.
Right.
You're prone to infection. We'll talk about that a little bit, but that can be a completely different episode. And if broken, the cracks can spread. So, but cracks can also spread if not dealt with when you have a covering, because I've dropped this case, right? And she cracked, and then I dropped her again, and it spread to other areas that was worse. So you also have to be mindful too of the thickness of the protection that you have. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of talk about, just some of the dangers of, as it relates to ourselves, of us being exposed, just out here, just not being mindful of when life does happen, maneuvering through that with covering and making sure that we're not exposed and unprotected for when life hits.
Right. I think you said something profound, is that even with the case or with the covering, you still got those cracks in your phone, and those cracks can spread even when you have that covering on. So that kind of just goes to say that if we look at it from a life perspective, is that when situations occur in our life, it'll crack us, it'll break us, and even though we have a covering or a shield that we can that can protect us, but if we don't handle those situations or those conflicts or whatever it may be head on, those cracks can spread into other areas of our lives. So now we out here looking goofy, in the words of Devin, and we just out here.
Yeah. And two, I brought it up too in the sense of the analogy. I was thinking of the drop test that they do on iPhones, and the phones would get dropped so many times to where eventually, of course, the actual hardware of the phone would be damaged, but it got to a point too where when they picked the phone up to see the damage was done, the screen wasn't cut on, or the display was messed up, or you just the phone couldn't function.
Right.
And so I think that's a good point to make too, is it being exposed and being unprotected comes with external damage and internal damage.
For sure.
And just covering is essential. That's my thing. And I think sometimes we just maneuver through life willy-nilly, and we just out here we're out here free balling it.
We out here
Need to have some type of covering, because it's not a matter of if life happens, it's a matter of when. Some of the falls that we encounter, some can be self-inflicted, and some just happen to teach us a lesson. And just thinking about too, as it relates to the fall test with iPhones, there was a difference between the iPhone 8 drop test and the iPhone 14 drop test. Same drop test, but the iPhone 14, it only had like a she did good. She only had maybe like a little dent, and the camera in the video that I saw was maybe slightly damaged. But that also goes to show too that as you progress and as you level up, your durability changes, and to be mindful of your build as you level up. It doesn't mean that you won't fall, and the impacts will be different, but you can put things in place to make sure you're covered to where your natural build essentially, not that you're invincible, but your natural build can take the hits better to where you know how to adapt better. That's what I was trying to say.
I got you. So in instance, it's just like we're built to go through or to be able to sustain through different tests and trials that we go through.
Built to last.
But built to last. But it's just like, how will I make it through that if I'm not protected or covered well? Right. So in that instance, when you talk about like the protection, what would be your ideal, or what would be like your, I guess, character traits that would make up a good covering or a good protection in a sense?
So my favorite cases for my phone, I don't have it on now, which is probably why the back. Anywho,
careful.
The cases that I like now are shock proof. So and they've built iPhones now too, to where it seems like when they drop them, it's almost like the phone falls on its corners. And they make cases too where the back is, yes, it's protected, but there's like a sense, like a light guard on the corners of the phone to where when the phone drops, the case is meant to, not that the phone didn't feel it, but it's meant to bounce off of it.
Got you.
And that guard on that particular corner is thicker to where if it did have to take a fall, it's built to take it because it bounces off of each piece of the protection that's on the phone. Or you could go full blown OtterBox.
Yeah.
Your phone won't be pretty, but at least you know it's protected.
That part. And so for people that don't know, I am a certified life coach, so I try to take things and look at it from a different perspective. So like, even when you talk about the different cases that you want to use for your phones, if we take that same thing and apply it to life, it just goes to show us that we got to have the right people in position. You said that one of your cases, it protects the edges of it. So if it falls, it can bounce back. So making sure that you have people in your corner, or people that you can rely on to, if you're going left and they see you going left and you take this fall, somebody is there to help you bounce back and won't look at you like, girl, you shouldn't have did that. Well, tell me in love, girl, listen, you shouldn't have did that, but let's get back on track type vibe. So like, you need that. And then like how you saying about like the OtterBox, it may not look pretty, but you're covered front, back, side to side, all over. So it's just like sometimes situations that we get in, it may not look pretty, but you got a good shield from head to toe, that even in those ugly moments or in those pretty moments, whatever,
you're good.
I'm still good at the end of the day.
And that just made me think of something else.
What you got? Whether
you're covered or exposed and unprotected, relationally, what's one common thing that you have to be aware of when you have your phone? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to drop their phone, right? So if I got a case on it, or whether it's butt booty naked, what I got to be aware of? How I handle it.
How you handle it. Yeah.
You're going to handle your phone differently, or you're going to handle yourself differently when you're covered than when you're exposed and unprotected. Because sometimes even though I've dropped it, I still handle my phone with the same care that I would with the cover on it than I would if I didn't have it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pay for another phone.
Right.
iPhones are going on 3,000.
Child.
So I don't want to drop anything. So I have to be careful. I have to be careful how I handle it. And when other people use it, I'm watching you.
Right.
to make sure you're using it right and to make sure you're not being reckless. So that's what I think when you brought up the relational piece, that was good too, because it's important to have people around you who know how to handle you even when you take a fall. That's very important.
That part.
And people that you can bounce off of the fall with. So that was good. That's what that made me think of relationally.
Yeah, most definitely.
So let's help the people.
Okay.
What would be some ways that you would say, how can we safeguard ourselves? Not to necessarily prevent us. Well, there are certain areas in life where we can prevent ourselves from falling. But just, I don't want to say when it's inevitable, but like I said, just when life happens or when things aren't good or if the season may not be the best, how can we safeguard ourselves to make sure that we're not exposed and unprotected?
I think when it comes to the safeguarding ourselves, first you got to know yourself, because a lot of times we find ourselves in situations all because we don't spend a lot of time with ourselves. So like if I know me, then I know I can't go do A, B, C, and D because I've been down this road before and I know the effects of what could possibly happen, or I know someone who has been through something similar, so I saw the outcome of that. But I think that the more that we know ourselves, we can safeguard ourselves or prevent a lot of things from happening within self type vibe. So knowing yourself is a big one. And then going back to the relational thing, surrounding yourself with people that will tell you yes and tell you no in love. A lot of times our circles or people that we have close to us like to sugarcoat a lot of things. So a lot of conflict or whatever don't get resolved because we're always sugarcoating it. We're always putting it under the rug, or we don't deal with it. Or the most famous line is, oh, they're always like that, or that's just them. Where there's some things that can be changed, falling. You know? So the whole goal is to stop the repeated cycle. And so in order to stop that repeated cycle is to really confront what's happening, find you some people that you trust, so that when you do feel like it's about to happen, or you need to get in a space to get level-headed, you can have those certain people around to be like, all right, hey, listen, this what it is, this what it ain't, type vibe. And then what would be something else?
Mine pretty much go with yours. I was gonna say awareness and just analysis. Be aware of the type of covering that you want, and that too means the type of covering you want around you, even people that you want, like we've been saying, the people that you want around you to cover you when you're exposed and unprotected. It's important to have people around you who can cover you too for the seasons where you may feel vulnerable, and even if you, figuratively speaking, have a case on, it can still feel like you're exposed and unprotected. So just being aware, like you said, of what you want. I really believe that's the main one.
I think,
and just being aware.
Something else when you was just talking about that, when you find people to cover you, in some seasons your covering can change, because what I needed for this season of my life may not be for the next, right? So making sure that you have those good relationships or that good case or whatnot, because even in that, you have to be vulnerable enough with that case or with that person, because they gonna know your ins and your outs, right? Because even if I go and I put a case on my phone, I can clean the phone up as much as I want to and put it in a case, but somewhere, somehow, some dust can still get up in that case, right?
Them dust particles keep you from listening.
You gotta be comfortable enough to let those people or let that case really see you naked. And a lot of times we don't do that.
That's good. And for everybody who still got the iPhone with the headphone jack, or you know what? Let's be inclusive. The dust particle can get in the charging area. Make sure you plugged into the right thing.
Check your source.
What we want.
Check your source. You gotta check.
Because even when you use a third party charger, it's not gonna charge the same.
Everything isn't compatible.
Okay. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to another. As you can see, your favorite life coach. This won't be her last time here, and we can go down a rabbit hole of analogies to help y'all. But instead of going down a rabbit hole, we will do more episodes for you guys. Wow,
I feel like we ended.
We want you guys to be aware of your covering. Can I say one thing? Yeah. Go right ahead.
Going back to that compatible piece. So like,
because that's a
it can go so many ways, but like
Apple series.
When you think about it, Apple made products for Apple.
Yeah.
It's compatible. But you have these other manufacturers that make stuff similar, a replica that could possibly work. And a lot of times, instead of us going to our main source to get what we need, we go to other places because it looks like what I had, or it feels familiar to something that I've had before.
Or
but then
it's cheaper. Yeah. It's cheaper.
Don't take the cheap way out.
Why buy another phone when I can pay $60 to get my screen fixed? But when I need to call somebody, I'm trying to dial 478 and it's dialing 678.
It's not working. All because I thought that, this looks similar or this is cheaper.
Goodness gracious.
It costs.
It costs to be covered.
It costs to be covered.
Good googly freaking move. It costs to be covered. Can't get no cheap cover.
You can't, especially if you want it done right.
Because the last thing you want is even for the covering to break.
I'll leave it alone.
Apple makes products. Apple has their own ecosystem. What's your ecosystem? Who's in your ecosystem? Is it aligned? Is your covering aligned with who you were made to be? Goodness gracious.
Yeah. That is so funny. And I'm going to say this, and I ain't going to hold you long.
I ain't going to hold you. I ain't going to be before you too long.
I ain't going to be before you long. But, like, that whole compatible piece, like, with those adapters and stuff, like, with phone chargers. So, I was was charging some things down at the studio or whatnot. And so, what I was plugging up, it wasn't the right charger that went with the device that I was plugging up, but it was a charger that fit, right? Even though
watch your tone,
the charger fit, when I went to like plug it in, it showed indications that it was charging, but it wasn't charging like it should have been charging, right? So it was charging slow, it wouldn't charge, so it was just like all this stuff was all this stuff was happening. And so what I did was I went and I found the right charger. I had to go search for the right charger and plug it in, and it started charging properly. So that just goes back to the whole thing of, even though something may look like it will fit, even though something looks like it can help out in that moment, but if you're not connecting to the right thing that it was supposed to be connected to, you can end up hurting yourself even more in the long run. Because just thinking about it, what damage did I do to that device because it wasn't charging properly due to me not putting the right cord with what it's supposed to go with? And so I guess that's what we got to think about too, as it pertains to our coverings and just being out there is that you have to make sure that you are plugging up to the right source. Make sure you are connected to the right resources, because this may try to have your best interest at heart, but at the end of the day, it doesn't.
I'm trying to go, but I've thought of two things: the compatibility of covering, and don't settle in your covering.
Please,
just because it's cheaper, or just because the excuse me, just because the third party charger charges faster. There's Amazon. Got an iPhone charger from Amazon, 10 feet long, worked for about a month. Often the cheaper alternative has a shortage in it.
Yeah.
So just go on ahead and get what you need to get. So I think it comes down to I think it comes down to compatibility too, and just not, like you said, not settling, and knowing. But that too comes with knowing it again, being aware too, because you have to know what you're dealing with. I know I've got if I know I have an Apple product, I know I'm going to probably need to go to Apple to get it fixed. And so awareness, compatibility, knowing yourself, and being aware. Yeah. Just being aware and being cognizant. Because even within the Apple ecosystem, my phone doesn't take the charging cases that the new iPhones have. It requires an upgrade.
There you have it.
We could go. Call us Erykah Badu. We could go on and on.
On and
on. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, with that being said, after our conversation, but just generally speaking too, I asked you at the beginning what you're currently mindful of. Is there an area where you want to be, that you want to be more mindful in?
I think just after this whole conversation that we just had, something that I try to do this as often as I can, but I'll put it in the sense of check your boat. Check the people that's riding with you, check your sources, check your covering, do some checkups. Yeah. So this is just a reminder of make your checklist, check in on your people, check in the season that you're in now. Are the people that's in my boat, are they compatible with where I'm going now or where I am now? That's and good. If not, then make the right adjustments. But you can only make the right adjustments unless you go and talk to your source, which is your creator, the one who made you to get those directions.
The big G, not the little one. Put some
that part.
Yeah, put some respectfully, put some respect on God's name. I see a lot of y'all out here with y'all captions, and it's got the little G. You can edit the captions.
Because he be out here guiding.
He be out here doing big things, so put the big G on him.
Guiding is what he doing.
Big G, not the little one. Oh, yeah. Show the merch. Hold on. Move the tassel.
We out here.
Guiding. God doing what he does best, showing up every time.
Every time. Because he's the on-time God.
One thing's for sure and two's for certain. He's going to show up.
And will. And do.
Period.
Please.
Actual, factual.
There you have it.
I love you.
I love you.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
She'll be back. Don't cry.
Yes. And you'll be on my podcast too.
Oh, yes. I will be on for the 10th episode. So we got 9 to catch up on.
The 10th episode?
No, like my 10th time.
Right.
It's really, figuratively speaking, literally like my third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be on my live podcast.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about that too. Because this will be, yeah.
Okay, bet. So, February the 24th, if you guys are not busy, come down to 189 Lower Bay Street. And come kick it with your girl, your favorite life coach. We are doing a live studio audience podcast, and my girl, J-Lo, will be one of my guests. Live music, live entertainment, food, drinks. We're gonna have a good time, like legit. It's gonna be up for real.
Food, drink,
right. shaky, wakey, just a little bit. But it's definitely gonna be a lit situation. So yeah, if you guys are not busy, come out. I'll give you the flyer for that too. So
yeah, and I can I'll add the deets.
Yes, that'll work.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Mindful Moments. Remember, Jada believes in you. I love you, and you guys are worth it. And as you go through your day, remember to be mindful. See you guys next episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mindful Moments. I want y'all to remember this. Take it one step at a time. Know that you're capable. Know that you're worth it. Be intentional and know that everything you need to accomplish the things you want is already inside of you. But look, y'all, the podcast doesn't end here, okay? Be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at O_Jada. That's O with 3 H's _JADA. You can see the visuals from past episodes and segments, and maybe even some teasers for upcoming episodes. And be sure to follow and like Mindful Moments on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and even Google Podcasts. And as you go through your day, remember to be mindful of today in hopes for a better tomorrow. I'll see you in the next episode.